Hello, and welcome to Only Slightly Opinionated. I'm Jamie,
And I'm Joey.
and today we are only slightly opinionated about George Michael, Mr. George
George
Michael.
fucking Michael.
Amen,
I love him.
brother.
Love him.
He's a god. But before we get to that, how are you?
I'm good, baby. How are you?
I'm good.
What you been
I'm
doing?
good.
What'd you do today?
Oh, today was so busy, and I don't like my Saturdays to be busy because I like to just laze around on Saturdays
Hmm.
and Sundays.
Ain't nothing like a laze.
Let's see. I had to go to a meeting for one of the theaters I work with. I'm on their committee to help select shows for their second stage, Stagecrafters in Royal Oak.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
just give them a little plug
Yeah.
to all the people listening. Um,
Millions.
and
Millions.
then I went to my parents' house and had a little visit, and we had to pick up some stuff from them. And then I came home. Boy, that doesn't sound like a lot, but really it felt like a lot. We also had to,
Sometimes it does, though. It does.
we also I took Sophie to the groomer, and then I had to pick her up from the groomer. That also was in there in that time. So, and then we came home after my mom and dad's, and we walked the dogs, and and now I'm here talking to you, which is just the best part of my day.
Oh.
What about you, Pumpkin?
Well, both my niece and nephew are in town. So
Oh,
this morning at an early show, we went to go see the Insidious, The Red Door.
yes. And how was it?
Mm,
Mm,
it was aight.
just I.
I mean, it had some like good jump scares and stuff. So if you're going for that, you'll probably enjoy it. But the story was a little lackluster, and it's not something that hasn't been done a million times before. I could pretty much tell you what was going to happen in the movie from the get
Oh,
go.
that's no
So
fun.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
So I mean,
sorry.
it was fun and it was nice, and to
You
go
got
with
to
my
spend
niece and
time
nephew.
with them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was the fun part about it. And then after
Now
that, we just did a little grocery shopping and came home, and that was home. That was my whole day. But let me tell you, that felt like enough. So I know what you mean.
it does. I just want, and especially, I mean, no offense, but you don't work, so it's
Why
like
you gotta put a motherfucker on blast like
I'm
that?
not. I'm not trying to put you on blast, but I'm saying the truth. You
But
don't
you gotta be
work.
you don't work.
No, I
You
didn't mean it like
don't
that.
work.
I didn't mean it like that.
Oh,
Stop it
housework
now.
ain't a job, bitch. I clean this house, motherfucker. I do the laundries.
Do you?
Well, most of the time.
That's right. I didn't mean it in any way negative to have any negative connotation at all. Honestly, I swear to God.
Okay.
I am jealous as fuck of you is what I am. But so it's like the weekend really I really like my weekends. I like not having anything to do on the
Oh, I
weekend is
totally
what I
get that.
really like.
Yeah.
That's my favorite because I can just like, oh, maybe I'll watch TV. Oh, maybe I'll take a nap. Oh, maybe I'll, whatever, eat something. There's no rhyme or reason or rules to it. And tomorrow's going to be busy too,
Well,
and
and
I don't like it.
see, that's part of like, I guess it would be the other side of the coin when you don't work and your husband is home not working. Every day becomes a challenge of how do you occupy the fucking time?
It's just like you're
Because,
retired.
my husband's got energy, something I don't have. He doesn't have that, oh, what do you call it? Laziness that I have. So he's always wanting to do something where I could just be completely content laying my stupid ass on the couch watching Netflix. But so I got to try to keep
And that's I
busy.
mean, that man needs a kidney and has more energy than you.
I,
Let's really
that's true.
now I'm putting you on blast. At least I don't feel like, Paul's in much better shape than me and doesn't need a kidney. So I can see why he has the energy. But Marty, like, how does he do it? I don't
I
understand.
don't know. He needs a kidney. I need a whole new body and muscles
Oh,
and tendons
amen.
and things that will move my body.
that will move my body. I'll just roll you down a hill.
There we go.
That's moving your body. Your body is moving from one point to the
That would work.
next.
I would be happy with that.
Yeah, I would too. I'd like to roll you down a hill. Next time we visit each other, we're gonna do that shit. I don't care. I'm gonna find a fucking hill and I'm gonna roll your ass down it. I don't care how embarrassing it'll be for either of us. I'm gonna do it. You mark my
I'm gonna
words.
mark them right now. I'm marking them.
My everybody here,
Mm-hmm.
here, can hear this. Here,
Consider your
come
words
here,
marked.
come here. Okay. Well, that's fun. That's good. Nothing else exciting or new or
Nope.
anything like that.
Not a thing to report.
No.
No.
What are you watching on TV?
Ooh, well. I know you've had a laugh at my expense about the Great Pottery Throwdown, but listen, people, if you have
No.
Max, I just why can't I call it HBO? It just irritates me that I have to call it Max now. But anyway, yeah, the Great Pottery Throwdown. If you are a fan of the Great British Baking Show, you need to check out the Great Pottery Throwdown. It is every bit as charming, as British and cute, and it has the same sort of a flow. They have a comedian as part of one of the hosts, and then they have the judges. It is so much fun. So if you have not yet seen it, check it out. I believe there are currently 5 seasons.
Oh,
Um,
God damn.
yeah, but so it's enough to keep you busy. So if you're jonesing for that, next Great British Bake Off, go for the Great Pottery Throwdown. Telling you.
I mean, I don't feel like I was having a laugh at your expense with the Great Pottery Throwdown. It just, the sound of it does not interest me. It sounds like watching golf
Well, see,
to me.
I mean,
Like, I have
saying,
no interest in pottery. Like, I have an interest in baked
and neither
goods.
do I. In fact, and
Well, I
well, I
think you
have an
secretly
interest.
do.
I have an interest in
You
eating
secretly
eating baked goods.
pottery?
No, eating baked goods, but
Right.
I'm never gonna fucking bake them because let's be
Well,
honest,
no.
I'm lazy. I'm not gonna do it. Plus it looks complicated. But pottery, holy fucking complicated.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about it, but now I'm kind of like, well, I wish I had me a little pottery wheel up in my
Get,
house.
why don't you get your little pottery
If I
wheel?
had me a little pottery wheel, I would make some pottery.
Would Marty come up behind you while you were doing it
He
and like
would.
sit with you and run his
Yeah,
hands
he
together with it?
would. And then he would
Oh,
say, and this here's Joey. He's holding a clay pot that he's quite proud of. That's from Pee Wee's Big
I know.
Adventure. But yeah.
I know.
Anyway.
Thank you, Jan Hooks.
Oh, love her.
Oh, rest in peace, Jan Hooks.
Oh. Anyway, so we're
Anyway,
here to talk
are
about.
we?
Wait, I'm going to try it. Georgios Kyriakos Panayiotou.
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty good. Any of our Greek listeners out there, please
Yeah.
email us at osopodcastcontact@gmail.com and let us know how Joey did on that
Yeah, please do.
reading of George Michael's actual name.
Please do. But yeah, obviously Greek. Born Greek.
Really?
I believe too, from the information that I looked up, he has 2 sisters, and I believe they're younger. Don't quote me on that, but um they grew up in England, and he sort of was always obsessed with music, like since the time he was young. And when he was in school, that's when he actually met Andrew Ridgeley, the other member of Wham, and they were best friends since they were like 12 years old, which I thought
Mhm.
was kind of cool because I had no idea that they knew each other for that long. I didn't it just never occurred to me, I guess. But I thought that was cute. And so they were always dreaming of being like rock stars since they were little kids. And they were such close friends that I think at one point they started a band. They had like a ska band, like right out of high school. And they even made like a demo and stuff. But both of them go on and on about how horrible it was or whatever, that they weren't really a very good band at the time. But even back then, I think they were like from what I read about George Michael, he had written Careless Whispers like when he was like 18, 17, 18 years old. And that was one of
Wow.
their songs that they kept trying to like get people to hear because they wanted, they wanted to show off what kind of songwriting ability they had. But it kept getting kind of nixed by a lot of the companies that were just, it's a good song, but I don't know, it's not really the style of music we're into or whatever. Um, but by 19, I think it was 1981, that's when they first signed their contract with Sony Records. um I guess they met him at some little coffee shop or whatever and signed a contract, and basically they were owned by Sony. um
Yeah.
there was a lot of talk that they didn't make a whole hell of a lot of money at all, which is crazy considering how fast Wham blew up. I
Yeah.
mean, it was like almost like an overnight type of thing. Um, but but I mean, we're not going to sit here and talk about Wham the whole entire time because we're here to talk about George Michael. But I think, I mean, Wham had such a successful career. I mean, they had 3 albums, and I
Yeah.
think every single one of them went to number one. I mean, it took them a
Yeah.
little while to get going, but by that point, they were like the biggest thing in
Yeah.
England, and even making a huge impact in the United States, which is, back then too, we're talking early 80s, that was still kind of difficult. I mean, British people were making it over here, but it was like a whole nother world for them to try and sell records in the United States. But um
Yeah. I honestly was not a big fan of Wham.
no, I wasn't a
Even
huge fan.
in my youth, I was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. It never the poppy boy bandy kind of feel to it has never. I've never been a fan of like New Kids in the Block or Backstreet Boys or NSYNC or any of those like boy band things.
Right.
I guess the Beatles. I like the Beatles, and that's a boy band.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Wham just never Wham on it as a group never really did it for
What
me.
about, I mean, even Careless Whisper? I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
it's fine.
It is literally probably one of my all-time favorite
It's
songs.
fine.
I
Yeah, it's fine.
fucking love that song. Even now, I mean, if I hear it, if it comes on, I just have to be like, oh, I mean, it just is such an incredibly beautiful song. And to think that that was a song that George Michael actually wrote when he was like 16, 17 years old. Like,
Right.
that is just, it's amazing to me because I think the first big singles when Wham was getting started were like rap songs, like they did, Wham rap. And
I'm sorry, what?
yeah, you didn't know that? They were like, it was sort of rap.
Wham Rap?
Yeah. It was like,
That was the name of the album
that was the
or
name of the song. That was the name of their
oh, the name
first
of the song.
single was Wham.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And
I don't think I knew that.
I mean, it was 1981, 82. So, of course, rap was, already in the mainstream or, getting to be. So,
Yeah.
well, there was a big deal about Wham and cultural appropriation because,
Really?
yeah, like they categorized them as R&B or soul, which was kind of really bizarre because it's funny. I was having a conversation with Marty about this, and I was thinking, like any of my history when I think about listening to Wham or hearing those songs, it never once occurred to me that, oh, this is like an R&B song. Like it's not something I would
Yeah, it's Wham
think.
is so
They
poppy.
are.
It's
Well, it
so
it
poppy
also
to me.
shows like the different writing styles between George Michael and Andrew Ridgeley because Andrew Ridgeley wrote the like "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go," that very poppy type stuff, whereas George Michael was writing the Careless Whisper and, you know, Club Tropicana and those types of songs, which were,
But Careless Whisper still feels like a very pop
oh,
song
I
to me,
mean,
a
it
pop
is, but
ballad.
I could see somebody more thinking that that might be more of a sultry type R&B style
Hmm,
song. Well, even though
interesting.
I have a hard time wrapping my head around that because I just don't feel that from them.
You have a hard time wham wrapping it around your
I
head?
do, and
Yeah.
I mean, I think they even had at one point there was like a magazine article that had George Michael on the cover with his face like in blackface.
I no, I was as you were talking about wham raps and the cultural appropriation, I had a flash in my mind. I'm like, didn't fucking George Michael do blackface one time?
He didn't. They did it to him on an album cover. Well, I mean, unless there was another time that he did it that I don't know about,
No,
but
I mean, I'm sure it's that, but I mean, he still did it, right?
well, no, no,
Are you
no.
saying it was post process?
Yeah, it's like a picture of him that they shaded in with like blackface, like
Oh,
made him like
okay.
a darker skin tone or something like that.
Okay.
When I looked
It,
it up, that's what I had found. So I didn't see any picture of
hmm.
him actually doing black. So just in case
Okay.
anybody's listening, anybody at all,
Yeah.
really.
I
Um,
swear.
yeah.
I swear there was something. Maybe that's all I'm thinking of then.
Well, later, I know for his second solo album, I mean, he won for best R&B album, which
Right.
also was a big deal sort of at the time. But anyway, I'm jumping ahead a bit. But so yeah, I thought that was interesting that they would sort of pen them as R&B artists,
Yeah.
which was kind of strange. But um, I mean, they George Michael was, I mean, Andrew originally was the one who really wanted to put this whole group together and do this whole thing, but George Michael was the one that really had this unbelievable talent for writing songs, and he became so huge and like such a sex symbol so quickly that he sort of spiraled a bit because he didn't quite know how to handle all of that. Um, from everything I looked at, it seemed like he was sort of like having a crisis of who he was, because I know even at a young age, at like 19, he came out to Andrew Ridgeley and the backup dancer girls that were always with them. But well, of course, he came out as bisexual because that was the safe territory back then.
Then, yeah.
But nobody else, he never told anybody else. That was just them right from the beginning.
Right.
But
Um, oh, I just had a thought and it just flew out of my head.
happens to me
Oh, no,
daily.
no. I mean, like, you know that it from his music you could tell that he had crisis of who he was and who he wanted to be, and
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, like Freedom 90, which is one of my favorite George Michael songs. I mean, it's
Mm.
all about identity.
Oh,
It's, it's the whole song is about his identity. And outside, sort of that same thing later about who he was or who he wanted to be. And um, so, yeah, I mean, he really put that struggle in his music
I think
quite a bit.
that's one of the things too that is what made him so great is that he really did write a lot about his self and his feelings, and especially once he began his, you know, his solo career, because he really was stepping out. And it's funny is like I've watched a bunch of different interviews, and when they talk to him about faith, um, which, you know, was what's in 1987, I think, was when the album Faith
Sounds
came
right.
out. 87 or 88, I can't remember, but um, he really had no idea that it was going to blow up as big as it did. Like he really had no idea that he was going to become this household name. Like that he was going to be on par with, you know, Prince and Michael Jackson and Madonna. Like
Yeah.
he really had no idea that that was coming his way. And I think that that was really really hard for him. Just listening to his interviews and stuff, he just, I don't know, he had this sort of sadness back then. Like you could see it, you could tell that he was sort of lamenting a normal life, or or that he was somehow lonely, maybe,
Yeah.
which would make sense because if you can't be your authentic self when you're that huge and you can't go anywhere anymore, you can't do anything. I mean, how could you date somebody or any of that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
I know there's lots of people out there who've figured out a way, but I mean, I can see how it would be torturous. I can see how it would be
Yeah.
just
I
super
mean,
hard to live with.
celebrities, I think overall are fucked up.
Totally.
I think in order to be a celebrity, I think mostly you have to be very narcissistic
Mhm.
and self-interested. And I think it's a crisis for someone who maybe isn't that, so when he comes into the business, if he's not really a narcissist, he's not expecting that fame and doesn't know what to do with it
Right.
like other celebrities do. I don't know if that makes
No,
sense.
absolutely. You hit on something perfect because the thing that's so funny is because his album Faith was so huge, and I think it was like I think it was on the British charts. It was number one for only a week, but in the United States, it was number one for 12 weeks. Um,
Wow.
and then after that, that's when he started to get. I think it shows that he's not narcissistic because when he was had written and was getting ready to release his second album, he didn't want to do any promotion whatsoever. He didn't want his face on the album cover. He didn't want his face in the videos or any of that stuff. And of course, that's where we get the Freedom 90 videos because he got all of those supermodels to do it instead because he didn't want to be in the video. He didn't want to.
I just learned that. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I did a little reading today, and I also didn't, if I knew this, I had long forgotten it that David Fincher directed it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
didn't remember either until I saw the clip.
yeah. But yeah, I didn't realize that he didn't want to do any press for that.
And it's funny because
For
he
what's the name of
was
the album? Listen
Listen
Without
Without
Prejudice,
Prejudice,
right?
which
Yeah.
again, too, the title Listen Without
Yeah.
Prejudice was sort of a slap back at the British tabloids for saying, that he's a black singer, he sings black.
Yeah.
And that was sort of so he was saying to his like just listen to this without prejudice and
Right.
oh my god. And I just thought that was a bold move for somebody whose first solo album was so huge, and then for him to scale back on that much to be, I just don't want to be a part of it. And that started his whole war with Sony, because he was not happy with the contract that he had gotten through them and was just very unhappy with the whole thing. And then well, I mean, if we're going to talk about Listen Without Prejudice and we're going to talk about Freedom 90, which was, a huge song for us. I mean,
Ugh, such a jam. I
so
just
let
love
me
that
just
song still.
take you back to 1990 when I had my apartment downtown Detroit that was kind of like a revolving door for Wayne State University students
And me.
and you.
somehow, somehow, because of you, I was there with all. I have people who still think that I went to Wayne sometimes. Like I've
Well, I
had people
didn't even
ask me
go to
that.
Wayne.
Didn't you go to
I
Wayne?
didn't go to
I
Wayne, and I
know.
lived down there, so
And I'm like, no, I didn't. I just was always at those parties.
so funny. But well, I'll let you tell the story. Do you remember how it
No.
got started? Do you remember? I mean, were we
Okay. It
drunk or
was it
high
was
or something or?
November of must have been November of 90 or November. It was released in 90, so it had to be November of 90 because it was Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't even remember that.
Yep, it was Thanksgiving, and we had we've talked about I
Oh,
think
we
we
had the
talked about this with
potluck. Yep.
Margaret. We had the potluck, and I made the
Cheese of beans.
cheesy beans. And then it feels like Sean came later, like he wasn't there at the beginning, like maybe he had family stuff. So
Probably.
it was you and me and Margaret and Sean and Sean's friend who became our friend at the time, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. It seems like maybe Kathy, who was another friend of Sean's and Tim's, was there, but I'm not sure on that one. And I don't know how.
Was Tracy there?
No,
No.
no, this was pre-PT. This was
Okay.
pre-Tracy. Well, no, it wasn't pre-Tracy. It was pre-Tracy and I being like close friends. I had met her doing Phantom of the Opera with you, where I met you.
Ah,
She also worked on that, so I knew her from that, but we had not connected. The next thing that I think in '91, I directed Baby at another theater,
I
and she
remember
and her
that.
sister costumed for me,
Bobby,
and that's really where
baby.
we. No, wrong show.
Wrong show? Oh.
Yeah, that's
Obviously,
Company.
I've never done the show.
This is Baby. That's fine.
My bad.
This is a long story.
It's all right.
Um, I don't honestly remember how it got started. But what happened
What had happened
was,
was
Joey's brother had a video camera, and so I think we were just fucking around with the video camera, and then someone said, "Let's make a video." And so we decided to make a video to Michael. I almost said Michael Jackson, to Michael Jackson, to George Michael's Freedom 90, because it was the jam at the time. And because that video was so iconic
Oh, totally.
with all the different supermodels and all the different cuts. So we tried to emulate that video with different cuts and we all tried to be sexy,
I thought, didn't we
which,
try to do like shot for shot? Like we were trying to do like in the apartment, we were trying to make it look as much like the video.
uh, there were a couple times that we did, because like Sean showed his butt
Oh
in the
yeah.
video, and that's, I
Uh-huh.
think, don't they do that in the Freedom 90
They
video?
do,
Isn't
and
there
there's a
someone getting out of
shower
a bath
scene, yeah, or
or
bath scene.
something?
That's what it was.
So I think we did with some of them, but I mean, I think one of the things on this must have been the thing, were you and I crawling down the hall. I remember that,
Oh
trying to look
yes,
sexy.
yeah, yep.
We also sat in a window well with our shirts open. I remember that.
Oh God.
Sits like against a window, or maybe maybe that one was just me. I don't know. But this video was the bomb skippity.
I don't think we'd
Was it
ever been more proud of
good?
anything in our lives.
Yeah, I mean, was it good? I don't know. And you know why I don't know? Because it disappeared into
Disappeared.
thin air. We had it for maybe a year, is all.
Someone has it. Somebody's got to have
And
that fucking
then
video.
I don't know, but as of now, it is like Amelia Earhart. It just disappeared. I always thought Sean had it because Sean's a big famous actor now, and he didn't want his butt shown. But I really don't think that's really
No,
it.
I
I
don't think
just
he
used
cared.
to I used to think that. Not think it. I used to like to. I used to like to think that, like, that was the
Right,
reason
right,
Sean was
right.
hiding it in a
Yeah.
vault so that we couldn't ruin his career.
This will never damage who I am.
You sounded just like him,
That's how he sounds. I don't know if he knows that, but that's how you sound, Sean. That's yeah.
Sean. He's not listening. He's
Of
too
course not. He
busy.
ain't got time for us.
He's too busy.
But yeah, I mean, I just that video, the original
It's
video,
one of
our
the
remake.
great sadnesses of my life. It is truly one. When I look back on my life and think of things that make me sad, that video not being around is one of the most. It makes me
Well,
one of the most sad.
absolutely. I mean, in 1990 too. I mean, none of us had video cameras. Like,
No.
my brother was studying film, so he was very much into that. And I remember that thing was gigantic. Remember, it was
Yes, it
so
was. Yep.
huge, and it had like the boom mic and everything. And
Yep.
we really thought we were making some shit. We were like,
You
oh,
know, here's the thing that I thought of, that I thought of this recently, before we started talking about doing George Michael. How in the fuck did we do the music? Because there wasn't like we didn't edit it later and add music to it. So we must have just been playing the
playing the
songs and
song.
pausing
You're
it.
right. I don't remember doing that, but we had to have.
And that's the only way we could have done it, I think, is like pause.
You know
Okay,
what?
next shot,
It's
unpause.
it's probably good that we don't know where the video is, because we'd probably be like so
No.
excited, and then we would put it on and we'd be like, "Oh, this is so bad."
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. It could be the worst thing I've ever seen, and I would still be so happy, and like dreams would be coming true if I could see that video again. I mean, it's just a part. It's like a slice of my life that is gone.
I
It's just gone, and
know.
it was so. That night was so very meaningful to me. not because we made the video, but because it was like my first Thanksgiving without my family. I mean, my family was there. I just didn't go to Thanksgiving. I went to this instead because I was an adult now.
Yeah.
Um, so it just, and I didn't have a ton of friends growing up. So, there was, I had met a guy the year before I met you. I met a guy named Nick who we became fast friends. He was my first gay friend. Fast friends. And then unfortunately he committed suicide. I think I mentioned this.
You
Yeah,
did.
I did in the first video. So really until I met you, I mean, I did not have people that I did things with. I did everything by myself. I did not have friends at 16 and 17 and 18. And I mean, at 19 is when I started doing theater. But I didn't make friends. I mean, I had a couple people that were, that I would maybe go to a movie with or that type of thing. But it wasn't until you and that whole group where I finally felt like part of something, part of a friend group.
I think,
And look at now 30 fucking years later,
yeah.
here we are,
And I think that's what's so funny too is that you know, I mean I was always sort of aware that the people that I brought into my life were these people that were so special to me, like that I had such a connection with that I could be myself around, like, you
Yeah.
and Mitch and Margaret. And I mean, it was like, I think, I mean, not that I had the awareness, but I was like, as far as a chosen family goes, it was like I was putting together this group of people that were so important to me. And Peter and Mark, Meg, Reggie at the time,
Oh,
remember, and Sean.
Reggie.
And it was like we had a nice little group of people that, I mean, yeah, we fought like brothers and sisters, but
Yeah.
that was the cool part of it. We
Yeah.
still were able to get together and not, and let anything go. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I love that time. It was a magical time back
It
then.
was.
And that video was born
It
out of magic.
it truly was. My 20s were my 30s are still my favorite. I loved my 30s.
Hmm.
But my 20s is where I did my partying. It's like those memories, the partying,
Yeah.
being drunk, whatever, doing drugs, which we will talk about at some point.
Hmm.
Um, going out, being thin from
Oh,
dancing.
being thin.
Oh, just dancing all the fucking time, going to the bar every single night.
Oh,
Not
Jesus.
not every week, people. We weren't crazy, but there were
Well, we couldn't
times where we
afford
went
it. Remember, we would go to the bar with
yeah,
like
it's true.
$5. We like, oh, we got
Yep.
$5.
Dollar beer night.
Yep.
Dollar beer night at Menjo's or dollar pitchers at
Oh,
Tiffany's.
dollar pitchers at Tiffany's.
Weidermeister.
Oh, that was some nasty shit, but
It was, but we drank it up.
we did. We would buy
And
a
I
whole
don't even
pitcher
like beer.
and we
I
would
don't
just
even
drink it.
like beer.
We would drink from
Yep.
the pitcher. We didn't even have
Yep.
cups.
We were savages.
I loved those times.
Um,
But that, I mean,
yeah,
that
so
was, I think, us doing that video and sort of capturing that whole particular time. Yeah, I would kill to see that. Just that
just
living in that moment.
the whole babies of it all, we were just so young. And I have some pictures. I have quite a few pictures of other people. As I look back on my life, I know we've gotten way off the George Michael topic, but
That's
we're still
okay.
talking about
That's
this thing.
okay.
Um, as I look back on my life, I have so many pictures. I've always been a picture taker, lots of Polaroids. I mean, I have boxes of pictures. Well, that's not true anymore. I digitized all my pictures and I got rid of everything but my Polaroids. Um, but there's not a lot of pictures of me.
Ah,
You
you were
know,
the picture taker. You
I
were
was
a
the
big
picture
picture taker.
taker.
Yeah.
So I have lots of pictures from that time of other people. I don't really have any pictures of me, but one here, one there. Like there's that picture of us at Tiffany's with Margaret
I
and
love that
Sean, I
picture.
think. Um, so it's weird. And even now as an adult, I mean, now I don't really like getting my picture taken because of how
Oof,
my body
dread it.
dysmorphia. But there's not a ton of pictures of me around anywhere. And
Yeah.
I wish I wish maybe I had given other people the camera
Yeah.
and let myself be in more pictures
It's so weird how
because
when you're young, because you don't think of those things, and you don't think about,
no.
ooh, 30 years from now.
Yeah, I'm gonna look back on my life. What? Fuck you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just it sucks. But
But
but we were young, we were single, we
yes,
were mingling, going to the bars, having a good old
young,
time.
hung, and full of cum.
Yeah, yeah, we were
There's
having
for
a
my
good
mama to hear. Hi, mom.
time.
That was Joey who said that.
We didn't have sex till we got married. We promised. It wasn't we never had sex with anyone until we were married.
Joey, stop saying dirty things to my mom. I mean, not to my mom. You're not saying them to my mom.
Oh, Linda.
Okay, so George Michael.
Uh-huh. So
Oh, that was
basically,
creepy.
let's
That was creepy.
you
Why
just caught
did
the
you do
Linda.
that? Yes. Why did you
But
do
I
that?
love your mom. I would never
I
think sex on
know.
her. I would never think about sex on her. Ever.
Stop saying it.
No.
No, my mom is welcome to have all the sex she wants.
She is. She a
I'm sure
grown
my
ass
dad would be
woman.
very happy to hear that.
Oh Lord. So
Okay,
back to
George
George
Michael.
Michael.
Yeah, I
Which is
want your
funny
sex.
because that's a good transition because after that second album, I guess would probably be like the height of his loneliness, but that's when he met the one person I think in his lifetime that he has said that he loved, which was a man by the name of Anselmo. I don't remember his last name, but his name was Anselmo. He was from Brazil, I believe.
Yeah, it sounds like I was gonna say Brazil because I don't know. It just sounds like a Brazilian name to me.
He was doing some benefit concert, some performance concert, and I guess this guy was in the front row and he was just staring a hole in George Michael, and he just couldn't, he just was so nervous about it, but he ended up meeting up with him and talking to him, and they like became this hot item. And so we're talking about 1991, and at that point George Michael was so upset with Sony because they the whole fight with them about his marketing for the last album, um and so he just dove headfirst into this relationship, and they were like, I think they were inseparable for like 6 months or something, where they were just, everything was wonderful. And then Anselmo got ill, got like a bad flu
Oh,
or a cold, and then he got tested, and that's when they found out he had HIV. Um,
oh,
and it had actually already went into AIDS territory. Back then, they had like, certain set of
yeah.
criteria to meet, but um, so yeah, they had this wonderful time together, but then he died from HIV in 1993. So they really only
Oh,
had 2 years together. Well, like three, almost three, but and that was so hard on George Michael because he finally had somebody he could share his life with, and then to have him taken away like that. But in some of the interviews, he said that is what sort of fueled him to fight Sony. So he actually took them to court. He was like, "That's it. I want out of my," because I think he had a contract to do like 5 or 6 more records, and he
oh,
just didn't want to
wow.
do them because he didn't like the way they were marketing him, and he didn't want to be a closeted musician who couldn't be himself. And they owned everything about him, so he took them to court, but he lost. And it was a big
Yeah, I
news
remember.
thing. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so he tried to get out of the contract, but of course, he signed the contract. So, um, but I think later what happened is David Geffen is the one who ended up approaching George Michael and saying, "Look, we'll buy you out of your contract." So they went to Sony, which would have been Virgin Records. David Geffen was with Virgin, I believe, and it was part of that whole
Oh, so it's
Spielberg,
before
Spielberg Geffen.
Geffen
I think it was
Records,
before. I think it was after Geffen, and when Geffen,
before DreamWorks.
yeah, like that in between where it was Virgin.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that. I don't know. I mean, I was looking at a lot of information, but I know that David Geffen was the one who basically went into Sony and said, and I think they gave him like $40 million plus some like some other chunk of money based on future sales or something like that. But they did. They bought him out of his contract, and they let him make the decisions, because even early on, George Michael was like a huge hands on for all of the songs. Like he produced them, he did everything. Like he wrote, produced them, recorded them, did all of that stuff. He wanted a hand in all of it. So after that whole thing, but he said in interviews that if the whole thing hadn't have happened with Anselmo, he might not have had that fire under his butt to get up there and say, fuck it, I'm going to go after Sony and get what I deserve.
Yeah.
So I think that, good things can come out of that type of a situation where you feel like you're boxed in. And so you fight for it. And it turned out to be, a great thing for him. Although I think he was naturally sort of like not like, he loved music and he loved making music, but I think he didn't like the stardom of it all. So he was, kind of hesitant about jumping back in like that. I couldn't imagine though. Could you? I don't know. It's weird when you think a lot of these artists, they're so big and their life's changed so much. You think that they would just get used to it or adjust, or be like, "Oh, this is my new life now." But it's
Well, some
hard.
do,
Yeah,
some don't,
some do.
and that's the ones who survive both, the business and physically, emotionally are the ones who can learn to have a life within that celebrity, I would think.
Yeah.
And I don't think he knew how to do that.
Well, after Anselmo died, it took him a while, I think, again to do another record. But I think it was 1996 when he did Older, which of all of the albums, it is my absolute fucking favorite. And I find when I've had conversations with other people, they're not really familiar with that album. Um,
I'm
which
not at all.
really, it's such a
Yep.
surprise for me because he had huge hits off of that too. Fast Love for one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, then I guess maybe I did know that
And
album.
Jesus to a Child,
Yeah.
which
Okay.
it was a gorgeous ballad, but by the way, was completely written for Anselmo. So it's all, that whole entire song is about him meeting Anselmo, and
Uh,
and their whole love that they had with each other. But and one of my favorite songs on the album too is Spinning That Wheel, which when you listen to it now, I never thought about it back then, but when you listen to it now, it's absolutely about HIV. It's all about the dangers of sex and having a boyfriend that stays out all night, and you never know if they're going to be bringing something
uh,
home to you. Um, so knowing that now, it makes it sound completely different to me. I always loved that song, and I kind of had an idea that that might be what it was about, but knowing what he knew then and what had already happened, or because I don't, that wasn't huge news in the United States as far as him having a boyfriend that died of
mm-mm.
AIDS.
Nope.
But I mean,
I
the same
didn't know.
year, 1991, was when he found out that his boyfriend had AIDS, and I think that's the same year that Freddie Mercury died. Was the same year, was
Oh.
91. I'm pretty sure. Um, don't quote me on that either, but
What
basically,
can I quote you
I'm
on,
giving you
Joey?
a lot of information here that may or may not be true. No, just kidding. I guess that a lot of information, I guess, that I was looking at in preparation for this, but there's a lot of stuff that's, I mean, he had such a career and such
Yeah.
a spread of stuff that because in between even all of that, he did like a duet with Aretha Franklin. He did a song on the Red Hot and not the Red Hot and Blue, but Red Hot and Dance. Um, he did that one, which was Too Funky, that song, which I love. Um, oh, there's so many songs, and he had so many great remixes. Oh my god, the remixes of some of those songs, which they just recently re-released Older, and you can get the companion Older, and it has all of the remixes that are available for
Mm.
all of these songs, and it's so good. So if you haven't
Is
heard
this
those,
just on vinyl or
no, it's on
like
CD and vinyl.
okay.
Actually, I'm pretty sure you can stream it too now. The whole
Okay.
thing. is available. I think they just
When
did.
did Ladies and Gentlemen come out?
Ladies and Gentlemen was shit. Where did I know I remember looking that up. Oh, 1998.
1998.
So a
Okay.
couple years after Older. Um, well, just before that too, though, we got to talk about Outside. That was the big, like, we didn't hear about his boyfriend dying of AIDS, but we heard about George Michael trying to get some dingaling up in a public bathroom in Beverly
Oh.
Hills.
Didn't we
Oh, we did.
we went to go look for it, right?
Yes, we did. Was it okay? Long story short, we had gone to, what was the theme park we went to?
Universal.
Universal Studios. And we rode, I love that you're my memory, but we rode a ride. What was the ride?
I don't know. We rode many rides. We
But the
rode
ride you got
ET.
sopping wet, remember?
No.
Yeah, you got, it was, I don't know if it was one of those log rides or one of those, you know, splash
Oh
park
my
sort of
God, I
rides.
don't remember that.
You got
See, you're my
sopping
memory.
wet. And you had to go into the gift shop and you bought a sweatshirt and sweatpants. And they were like this matching Universal
Wait a
Studios.
minute. Oh my God, I do remember that. I thought, you know what,
I can't
Joey, all
believe you
these
don't
years.
remember that.
No, wait, I do, but I've confused it with a different memory.
Oh.
I've confused that with a trip to Cedar Point that I took with
Oh.
this guy that I was dating. I swear the same thing happened. But yeah, of course, now I remember the universal sweatshirt and sweatpants. Yeah, I remember
Yes.
that.
Which was so
Oh
funny because
Lord.
when we were coming home from Universal Studios, I had gotten it into my head because I was like, I want to go to the bathroom where George Michael was trying to get some ding-a-ling. I want to go there and see it. I just wanted to take a picture. I remember that's all I wanted to
Yeah.
do. And
Yep, I
you
remember.
were in the foulest of moods because you had been wet and your underwear was wet and you're wearing this
Ew.
sweatpants outfit. You were like, I don't want to be seen in this sweatpants. And that's what you sound like, by the way. I don't want to be
Oh,
seen.
wow. I
I
love
don't want
you.
to be seen in this sweatpants outfit, walking in no
Now
public
that sounds
restroom.
like
Yeah,
me.
sounds just like you. Yeah.
Yeah, that does. But the first thing you did didn't.
Whatever. It
Sorry.
was the same voice.
That was exactly me.
If I'm anything, I'm consistent when I'm doing impersonations. They're
You're
consistently bad.
consistently inconsistent.
But yeah,
But
so
we
you did
didn't get
one of that.
there, so
No,
we didn't do it?
well, what happened? What
Oh.
happened was
See, what had happened was this.
I knew where it was because I had looked it up or something. Because it was, I mean, my whole plan when we were. Do we have to tell the whole reason why we're in California?
No, 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 no. It's fine. I won a trip to California.
There
There
we
we go.
go.
Won a trip to California, and I was able to bring a guest, and Joey was my guest.
There we go. And so we were in California. And yeah, so we did drive by it, and I forced you to park the car so that I could run out and take a picture. But you parked the
Wait,
car. Listen,
I was driving?
you were driving because it was a rental car. You were the only one that could get a rental car at the time, right?
I cannot believe with all of my driving phobias that I have now, I cannot believe I drove in Beverly Hills or Los
You
Angeles.
did.
No, it's Beverly
And you
Hills.
were very, very like nervous about the whole thing because I remember the whole trip was all about no, you can't drive because it's a rental car, and if anything happens, blah 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 blah. So you wouldn't let me drive. But
Oh, wow, so weird now. All I can think is that you drove everywhere. That's what I would have sworn on a stack of Bibles that was what it
but
was.
on the final, it
Okay,
was the
so
final day actually. We were hungover or something. We were tired, and you made me drive us to return the rental car and stuff because you were like, I just can't do it. I just can't. And so I was like, oh, you're fine. But anyway, so yeah, you parked the car. I jumped out to go take a picture. And when I came back, I was like, oh, I don't think that was the right place. There's another one around here. And you were like, no, we're going home. And I was so disappointed. I mean, I couldn't argue with you because
oh, I'm
I would have felt the
sorry.
same way as you,
See,
but
I'm such an ogre.
all I wanted to do was take a picture of that bathroom.
I do remember I don't remember that. I remember having a fight because I didn't want to sing karaoke because I was
See, now that I don't even remember.
petrified. We went into this bar that was wall to wall peoples. Couldn't smoke in the bars already
Oh yeah,
in
that's
Los
right. Oh
Angeles.
yeah.
or West Hollywood or Beverly. I don't remember where this club was. And they had karaoke, and you wanted me to do it so bad. You were going to do it, and I was like, "Fine, do it." But you wanted me to do it, and I wasn't. I was terrified, just anxiety, like that. I probably had a panic attack and just didn't know what was going on. And then we had a huge fight, and then yeah, and then I went back to the hotel, and you stayed out for a while, and I was super worried.
Oh, see, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, so you did get to drive because I think you drove. I walked back to the hotel.
Yeah, it seems like I do remember you
So I
did
wasn't
let
that
me
much of a
drive.
jerk about you not letting you drive.
No, no, you weren't. But,
I'm a nice guy
anyway,
sometimes.
the back to George Michael.
Back to George Michael.
But, the funniest part about that whole thing was, so George Michael gets arrested for trying to get some peen up in the public restroom, and what does he do? He makes it into a song called Outside and does
I love
the
that song so
best
much.
fucking video, hands down. If you have not seen it, get yourself right now on the YouTubes and watch the George Michael Outside video. I mean, we're talking about a disco ball in a public restroom. The urinals become like sequined with gold, and there's dancing, and there's cops
Don't furl it.
kissing. Oh my god, it
Don't
was.
furl it.
But that was the beautiful thing, and he did some interviews and everything like that where he just told the truth and was basically saying he owned it. He was just saying,
Yeah.
everything that had on in his life. I think too, his mom had just died as well. So he had just mourned the loss of Anselmo. Then he mourned the loss of his mom, and then boom, this happens. And so he just was like, "Yeah, I did it. I'm a lonely man. I wanted some
Yeah,
dick,
I did
so
it.
I went to get some dick."
What you gonna say about it?
And he's like, "In hindsight, it was
Um,
pretty dumb, but
yeah, he's not the only one.
what was you gonna say, baby?"
I was just gonna say, are there any other major points that we've missed?
Um, About
I mean, we talked about the peen.
him, well, I mean, he only did, I think, really one other proper album after, after that whole thing. Ladies and Gentlemen was the best of. So,
Right.
and then he did.
Were there any new tracks on that?
There was, I think that was it had the duet that he did with Mary J. Blige,
Okay.
and there was a couple. I think he did another duet too. I can't remember, but
Okay.
um then he did that whole songs from the last century where he covered other people's songs, which is so beautiful. Are you familiar with that album?
Not really. No.
It's do you even like George Michael?
Yes, I
I'm just
do.
teasing
I
you.
mean, Ladies and Gentlemen is worn out.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I
Oh,
played the
because
shit out of
it's
those
got all the
CDs.
good shit on it.
It's got
All of it.
everything.
But yeah, the songs from the last century is beautiful. I mean, it's basically him and an orchestra just doing other people's songs, and his voice is just, I mean, he is like in his top voice. It
Like
is,
butter.
yeah, it is beautiful. It's a beautiful album. Um, and then he did his final album, which was called Patience in 2004, which again, for his final proper album that he put out, is so fucking good. Um, there was it's a really upbeat album, but there's a song on there called My Mother Had a Brother. That's another song that if anybody listening, they should check out that song just to hear his incredible ability to write a song that's so very personal, and so gorgeous. That song, it gets me every time. And then he
Every
had
time.
another boyfriend, um, that he was it? I can't remember. The guy's name was like Fadi something or other. Um, I think he was Eastern European. Not sure if. Oh, never mind. I wrote it down. He's Australian. Just kidding. Uh, he may be of Eastern
Yeah,
nationality, but
Fadi Fawaz,
yeah. And
Lebanese Australian.
they knew each other from a while back, but then they started dating. Um, and this was the guy who he was dating when George Michael died. This guy,
And how did he die?
well, this guy found him dead,
Right,
in
I
his
do.
bed on Christmas Day. It was Christmas Day in 2016. The coroner said it was cardiomyopathy, um, and a fatty liver. So now he did have some drug issues up before that point. He was using pretty heavily, and he actually even did a stint in rehab, I think, in Switzerland or something like
Oh,
that, for drug use. But this guy says that he was trying to revive him for over an hour, and there was a lot of confusion too about whether he was telling the truth about the whole thing. This guy also had drug related issues. They even had to physically remove him from the house after George Michael died because he thought he was entitled to all of George Michael's money. He wanted millions of dollars,
wow.
and all this stuff. And he stayed in the house and they had to physically remove him. But he got nothing. He got not a damn thing. But yeah, it's such a tragic ending,
Yeah,
to somebody who was just so incredibly talented. I mean, it's like
yeah,
you said, a couple of the albums really, really well, that were so huge in the '90s. But I stuck with him, a long time, and he just kept putting out incredible music, and
yeah.
I would have loved to have gotten a chance to hear something else from him, but I
Did
think
he ever tour? Did you ever see him live?
nope, never got a chance to.
No,
I
no.
mean, back then in the '90s, he was so huge that I wasn't a big fan of going to those huge stadium shows.
Right.
I didn't like that because I didn't feel like you got to really see the artist. You're more
Yeah,
watching them on the jumbotron, instead of
yeah.
actually seeing them on stage. But on the
Jumbotron.
jumbotron.
Hey, it's a jumbotron.
But did you know too, on a side note, that he died on Christmas in 2016, which is the same year Prince died. So we lost both of those artists in the same
Are
year.
they the only two? It seems like there was another
There
one.
might have been another one, but
Hmm.
um, it wasn't. Well, George, no. When did Michael Jackson? What year did Michael Jackson die? He didn't die that year too.
I don't
No,
know.
he didn't die the same year as
No, no, no,
no,
no,
no.
no,
He died long before that.
no, 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 no.
Um, but yeah, so and George Michael too, he ended up, I think they said that he in his lifetime he sold like 125 million records, which is pretty fucking incredible. And that's about all I got to say on George Michael. That I love him.
Um. Okay. Well, that was lovely. I
It
love talking
was.
to you about George Michael
I,
and your passion for him.
I do love him. I loved
I do
him
too.
so
I do
much.
too. I am not like, as you've pointed out, I'm not like a diehard fan, but honestly, there's very few artists that I am. I listen to musical theater is what I listen to most. So I there aren't too many artists where I'm just like every album I love.
Right,
I
right.
just I'm a fan of a greatest hits.
Well, if we ever get around to doing Prince, it'll probably have to be 2 episodes because that's how much I love that motherfucker. I was the biggest Prince fan in the world.
Yes,
So
but
yeah,
now he's dead. Okay.
he is.
Well, I love you,
I love you, baby.
and it's been lovely talking to you, and I will talk to you soon.
See ya.
Bye
Talk to you later,
bye.
sugar booger.
Bye.
Bye.